So we're in for another short episode of the Yu-Gi-Oh! What It's Worth series, or maybe not a short episode, but definitely a short tier list. Look at this tier list. There are only 9 cards released in the set that we're talking about, in the 2 sets we're talking about actually, and 3 of them are older cards that are re-released in this set. You can see the most expensive card in this set, $23 market price, Harpy's Feather Duster, and the cheapest one in this set would be Siyaru, which is one listing up right now for $18. These cards can be pretty rare to find. Market value on that card is a lot less than $18, though. The cards we're talking about are from the 2 video games that were released in 2003, the first 2 ever video games to be released for Yu-Gi-Oh! We have on the PlayStation 2, and I believe GameCube and some other stuff, Yu-Gi-Oh! The Duelist of the Roses, or Duelists of the Roses. And then we also have Yu-Gi-Oh! Stairway to the Destined Duel. I actually couldn't really see that very well in this image, which was on the Game Boy Advance. And this came with 3 limited edition official game cards, and this came with, again, 3 limited edition game cards. So each game had a pool of cards that you would get. I think you would get 3 of the 4 or 3 of the 5. I actually had one of these because I owned one of these games, or maybe my cousin owned one of these games back in the day. And I just sold a Salamandra for about that market price, $5 myself. So links down below will be to TCG Player with all this info. We are doing market prices for these, so while you can see, like, I'll use Alpha the Magnet Warrior for example here. Market price is $487 currently on this card, on this 19-year-old card. If we click on it, there are some up for sale for like 80 cents, but these are going to be damaged copies or copies that just are not in very good condition, moderately played, as we can see. Damage, moderately played, heavily played. And eventually you'll get up to the more lightly played that have a bit better return on them. The market value, as we said, though, $487 for them. So if we go to our tier list, we can go ahead and put these cards up there. Harpy's Feather Duster, one of the best cards ever created in the game, was just taken off the ban list, was on it for almost 20 years. I believe it said $23. Let me go ahead and... Okay, can we... Here we go. Yeah, $23 market price, so we're going to be in this category here. What's really funny is in the last episode, I was talking about Griffin Wing, which is a card that was made to counter Harpy's Feather Duster. Griffin Wing says that, well, Harpy Feather Duster says that you can destroy all of your opponent's magic and trap cards, or spell and trap cards. Whereas Griffin Wing says if your opponent activates this card, Harpy's Feather Duster, counter it, or negate it, and then destroy all of their cards. That's great and all, except Harpy's Feather Duster was not actually out when Griffin Wing was released. So when Griffin Wing came out, it's actually completely pointless and a completely unusable card, which I think is hilarious. I love when the TCG does stuff like that. Oftentimes these cards are released a lot earlier, about a year earlier, in the OCG, which is the Japanese version of the game, available, predominantly in the East or in Asia specifically. And yeah, the OCG, probably the release cycle made more sense, but over here in the TCG, it did not. In fact, to get this card, you either had to buy this video game, which this one specifically is from Stairway to the Destined Duel, so you had to buy the Game Boy Advance game, or you had to go to a tournament, because this card was next released in Tournament Pack 8, and then it was finally re-released in 2012, which is 9 years? Yeah, 9 years after this. So this was a very difficult card to get. And before it was banned, it was definitely one you wanted to have in your deck. Probably the best card by far in this set. If we go ahead, we can probably go ahead and rank these pretty simply. Valkyrion the Magna Warrior, going to be a market price of almost $10 here. Go ahead and put them up in that category. Salamandra, this is a re-release, as is Acid Trap Hole and Siyaru. And that's why they're not here on this list. If we go ahead, Beta is the most valuable of the Magnet Warriors, and then Alpha, and then Sinister Serpent actually sitting at just over the cost of Gamma, and then Gamma. All these cards going for about $5, so we can go Beta, Beta, Alpha, Sinister Serpent, and Gamma. Pretty simple tier list today. How I usually break my tier lists up is I'd have more of them, but with some of these special edition cards, they can go for a big chunk of money. So I broke it up like this, but if we were to maybe shift this tier into what could we say, $5 to $9.99, and we could say that this one is $1.99 to $4.99. That would maybe split our tier list up a little bit better. That would leave us with, yeah, Beta up above. Beta was the most valuable of the Gamma Warriors, especially back in the day, because his attack is 1700, which is pretty respectable compared to the other ones, which just don't have that. Gamma does have an 1800 defense, and Alpha is just the weakest of them, and I think it's just the most iconic, probably because it is the Alpha one. But yeah, Sinister Serpent, if I could talk. Also, for those of you that don't remember this card, as I didn't, during your standby phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you can add it to your hand. Also, banish one Sinister Serpent from your graveyard during your opponent's next end phase. You can only use this effect of Sinister Serpent once per turn. This part is actually added on later. It was not on the original card because, yeah, things got weird when you started doing that over and over and over again. So, very interesting card. Definitely some ways to break that in the early stages of the game. So yeah, if you bought one of those video games back in the day, you may have one of these lying around. They would have the they would have the number on them SDD for Stairway to the Destined Duel, or Duelist of the Roses, I think is DOR. Let's see, SDD, yeah, DOR. So SDD or DOR, those are going to be the numbers for these. And it looks like Duelist of the Roses always came with the 3 Magnet Warriors, while Stairway to the Destined Duel, there was a pool that you could get. Unless the English ones came with different copies, because I see these are 1, 2, and 3. And then the English, it says E, 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, those are the cards. Next, we'll be back with a full set. We're going to be doing, after this one, something. In fact, we can actually probably find this out. I get my tier list from Kaga Reads, who has a channel called TCG Theory on both Twitter and YouTube. Definitely check him out if you're into Yu-Gi-Oh type things. Very, very intelligent content creator. Talks about when the cards were created, kind of what they are, how good they were at the time. So we have LOD, Legacy of Darkness, coming up next, which will definitely be an exciting one. And this is how Kaga ranks them. I will, of course, be ranking them by their market values. But links to TCG Player, where we just were, my personal shop on TCG Player, if you're interested, as well as TCG Theory on YouTube, will all be linked down below. Appreciate you guys watching. If you are still here, there'll be another episode of this coming up pretty soon here. Again, thank you for watching, and have a great day.